Hey guys, this is for Wednesday math. We are going to do a little review video for the Chapter 1 math test. And to go along with it, your work at home to go along with this video is the review, the Chapter 1 review. It's on pages 67, 68, and 69. You do not have to do page 70, just 67, 68, and 69. If you can do all of those and they make sense, you'll do very well on the test. So let's go over a few of the concepts quickly. If there's anything that still isn't making sense to you, please bring it to my attention or ask me before we do the test on Thursday and Friday. Or have mom or dad message me and we can set up a little Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to start here with place value. Okay, and let me turn, let's see. I'm going to put this here so you can see the board. Okay. I will always have that place value chart up in my room so that if you need to reference it, it's always there for you to see. Okay, let's write down a number. Now remember, every whole number, this is a whole number, this is a whole number. Even if I were to add a decimal there, or add zeros behind those, it's still the same value. It's still 137, that's still 12, okay? The zeros don't add any value to it. Every whole number is a number that's to the left of the decimal point, okay? And every decimal, if there are numbers to the right of the decimal, all of those are the same as fractions. It's any number between 0 and 1. Decimals are fractions, they're the same thing. Okay, so if I were to say, what place value is this 7 in? Well, normally there's a decimal here and you know how to go from that way. This is the ones, tens, hundreds. So this is in the ones place value. If this was a bigger number, let's add some. So let's say it's 256137, and I'm asking what place value is that 5 in? Well, let's count our way over. Sometimes you can eyeball it and say, oh, I know right off the bat what that is. But in order to not get it wrong and to make sure you get it right every time, it's helpful to label them so that you don't get it wrong. So let's count. We've got ones, we've got tens, we've got hundreds, then we get to thousands. So after you count 3 numbers, you can add a comma. Every 3 numbers to the left, add a comma. Now we're at thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. So this 5 is in the 10,000s place value. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody and everyone understands the place value of each of these numbers. Now, if I did have some numbers to the right of the decimal, here's my decimal point, and let's say I've got a 3 and a 6. That number expressed, if I were to say it, I would say 36 hundredths, right? Because it goes to the hundredths place value. What place value, though, is the 3 in? That first one is tenths. The 6 is in hundredths. And if I were to add a third one, that 5 is thousandths. If I were to write this number as a fraction, I would write 365 over 1,000. That number as a fraction is the same as 0.365. They're the same thing, okay? Now, if I have a 0 here, if there's a 0 here and then a 36, that's not 36 hundredths, because now I've got a 3, the 3's in the hundredths place, there's a 0 in the tenths place, and a 6 in the thousandths. So if I were to write that, I would write 36 over 1,000, and so that I know that the 6 goes to the thousandths place. I don't have to put a 0 in front because 036, that's the same as 36, isn't it? Okay. Also something to know, if I do have the number 12 and then I put a decimal there and I add zeros, it doesn't matter how many zeros keep going that way, it's the same number. So for example, if I have the number 0.3, which is 3/10, if I put 0.30 underneath that, that's the same exact number. I could put 1,000 zeros behind this 3, and it would still be the same value as this one. So any zeros that I'm adding to the right of a decimal number, it doesn't add any value. So this is the same as 0.30, is the same as 0.300, is the same as 0.3 with 3 zeros. They're the same number, or we say equivalent decimals. Equivalent means the same, right? Okay, next on our list on our review, let's make sure we know how to compare numbers. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a decimal or you don't. If you have two numbers, so on the review page, number 16, we've got 14,589. And then here's this circle. We add either equal sign or the Pac-Man. I always say it's Pac-Man. Pac-Man or the alligator, whatever you want to say, is going to eat the bigger number. So it doesn't matter what side it's on. Pac-Man's mouth will always eat the bigger number. So let's say that we have 14,589 on this side. On this side we have 14,985. Now if you can look at this right off the bat and say, oh, I can tell this is bigger because they both are 14,000, but this is 589 and this is 985. If you can tell right off the bat, great. Draw your Pac-Man mouth eating the bigger number. Sometimes though you cannot tell, and to get it right on the test, this is what I want you to do, and this is what we talked about when I came back to school on Thursday. Always stack the numbers, okay? Say it again this time after I say it. Always stack the numbers. Okay, now let's say I'm going to give you 3 numbers, okay? The first number is going to be 67.212. The next number is going to be 67.221. And then the last number is going to be 67.112. Now they're all very similar. And again, you may be able to look at these and say, I can tell already. What was the rule I asked you to repeat? Always stack the numbers, please. Do it every time. Doesn't matter if there's a decimal or not, always stack them, okay? So in order to stack them, I'm gonna line them up. So I'm gonna put this 67.112 right below this one. So I'm stacking them and I'm lining up. I'm lining up the place values. See how they're lined up? And then this last one I'm gonna put down here too. I'm gonna line it up. So your first step, always line them up or stack them up, okay? Now we have them in a line. I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3 from biggest to smallest, okay? So we're gonna start with the number to the very left. Okay, all 3 have a 6 in the tens place, so we're none the wiser. So let's go next to the next number. All of them have a 7 in the ones place, so again, we still don't know yet. Next number, okay, let's look at the tenths place. I've got a 2 and a 1 and a 2. So already I know that this guy here where the 1 is, that guy's in 3rd place. I'm gonna label him here. That dude's number 3. And to take him out of the running, I'm gonna cross him out now because I already know he's last place, he's smallest. Now we have these 2 numbers left. So let's look at the next place value. I have a 1 in the hundredths place here, and I've got a 2 in the hundredths place here. The 2 is bigger than the 1. So now I know that this guy, that's smaller, is now in 2nd place. Cross him out because I've used him. And now I happen to know that this is the biggest number. Okay? Now sometimes, depending on what a test says, sometimes it will say order them greatest to least, or sometimes it'll say order them from least to greatest. If you don't read carefully and you don't see which one they're asking you to do, you might get it wrong and do it the wrong way. So if I were to do this least to greatest, I would say this one's first because it's the least, it's the smallest number. This one's next, it's the second smallest number. And this one was last because it's the biggest number. But obviously, if they say do it from greatest to least, I'm going to flip-flop that and do this guy first. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, make sure that makes sense. If it doesn't, re-watch it. I'm going to move on so that everyone understands how to do expanded form. Okay. Now, again, first day, I kind of messed up a little bit because I was flustered with the live stream. Standard form is any number written as a number, written as numerals. 313, that's standard form. If I'm going to write this in word form, I'm going to write it out 313. Now, remember what I said the other day. You're not writing any and here. Do not write 313. Why? Anytime we add and into word form, that means there's a decimal. Do you see a decimal in this number anywhere? No? That's because there's not one. So don't add the word and. Now, if there was a decimal here, it was 313 and 26 hundredths. Then when I wrote it down, I would write 313 and, that's my decimal point, and 26. Now remember, on this side of the decimal, it's not hundreds, it's hundredths with a TH. I'm not going to write that whole thing. Expanded form is a little bit harder, okay? If we had that number again, let's just do a tens number, 33 and 215 thousandths. Here's our number. Now in expanded form, we're going to take each number's place value and we're going to express each place value number. So we're going to start all the way to the left with our very first number, which is a 3. What place is that 3 in? It's in the tens place, Mrs. Leggett. That's right. That's right, it's in the tens place. So because it's in the tens place, we're going to take the 3 and we're going to say times 10 for the tens place. 3 times 10, which makes sense because this number's 30, right? Now we're going to add the next place value number. The next 3 that's there is in what place value?
That one's in the ones place value, Mrs. Leggett.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Okay, this 3 is in the ones place value. So to express it, we're going to add it to this one. We're going to say 3, and we're going to say it's in the ones place times 1. Okay, now we're at the decimal point. We're at the and. Okay, we're going to keep adding. I'm going to write it down here because I'm going to run out of room here. What's the next number? It's a 2. And what place value is it in? It's in the tenths place value, Mrs. Leggett. Okay, it's in the tenths. When we get to these decimal numbers, we put them in parentheses. So here's our 2. What place value did we say? Tenths. To express that, we're going to times it by 1 over 10. That means tenth. Okay? So 2 times a tenth is 2 tenths. Close the parentheses, and let's go to the next number. Let's add the next number. What's the next number? It's a 1. What place value is it?
That one's in the hundredths place value.
That's right. That is right, Jennifer. It is in the hundredths place value. So now we've got, start a new parentheses, because this is a decimal number. Now we've got a 1, and it's in the hundredths place. So we're to write hundredths, we're going to write 1 over 100, like that. Close your parentheses. We have one number left. So put your plus, we're going to add one more number. What's that number? That last number is a 5, and it's in the
thousandths place, Mrs. Leggett.
Yes. Good job, Gregory. It is in the thousandths place, so let's write that one. Here's our parentheses. Okay, that one's a 5. We're going to times it by thousandths. To write thousandth, we're going to do 1 over 1,000. Close the parentheses. Now we're done. There's no more numbers left. If that hopefully makes sense to you, expanded form, make sure you try another one so that you understand how to do it. If you understand the different forms, if you can order numbers from greatest to least, or you can compare two numbers and see which one's bigger, if you know how to do all those and you understand your place value chart, you will do very well on the test. Again, if you have questions, please ask me during class time, and then complete numbers 67 through 69. Okay, and I'll see you in class. Bye.